I'm past that point.
Once you do,
We're doing it live.
hey! All right, I'm gonna go do this across all my socials.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm like,
Dun,
okay,
dun,
I am
dun.
using the right. I was like, I am using the right profile, right?
That,
Yes.
and then yeah, and then I'm actually gonna switch over to Extra Life Chicago.
And then I can think about. I like to also try to come up with slightly like icebreaker questions. So this will give me a moment as people wander in, settle in. Is anybody out there? Is anybody?
Hello, it's me.
Oh man, I Hey Bob, welcome
What's
Bob.
up, Bob? What
Oh,
up, Bob?
man, yeah. The Ghostbusters meetup was pretty fun at Wonderverse. I keep wanting to say Wandaverse. Bob, how are you doing? Welcome. Yeah, different franchises. They could call it the Madam Webiverse. I don't know. Hmm. Unless someone else has like an icebreaker question they can think of. How's everybody doing, by the way? Hi, chat. Hi, Christy.
Delightful.
Excellent, excellent.
Absolutely delightful.
How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice, I hope. Ah! Did
Holy.
I get that right, Bob? I'm pretty sure I did. Oh my gosh. Hmm. Hey, I did. Okay. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm trying to also not. Like, I had a question I was about to ask, but I'm like, you know what? This is actually going to come up in the conversation tonight. So, this is why you and I were destined to be friends. We're also destined to rule the Galactic Empire, so. I will be your father?
Do you have cookies?
Ooh,
Otherwise, it's not a true dark side takeover.
it's alright.
There has to be cookies.
No cookies, no me.
That's true. I mean, we could also join the Klingon Empire.
Heck yeah! Plavat Jeshuwe. Marge.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. As I'm like trying to uh okay, I have okay, I think I do have a question now. All right. Um is there I mean it could be there could have been a video game already, but is there a franchise could be TV show, could be comic, could be book or whatever. Is there something that you'd like to see turned into like a modern video game? It could be even one like they did years ago and they brought back. I
Well,
know. I just
that's
threw a
that's
curveball.
a that's a tough one. Um, you know what I think I would like to see is like another remake of Gauntlet.
Ooh,
I loved Gauntlet. And I think that like we have Diablo. Like I feel
yeah,
like Diablo is probably sort of the closest equivalent to like a modern day Gauntlet. And I
yeah,
do know that they like remade it at some point.
they did.
Um but yeah, like I would really love to see Gauntlet just like blown out in like a really big way.
We should play. They came out with one maybe a decade ago, and I have it on
Yeah.
the computer, so you might have to make
I
that
pl-
happen. But
I played it on my very first Extra Life stream. My ex and I played it
yeah,
and like yeah, it's yep.
nice.
Hey, Elia's in the chat. What's
Hi,
up?
Emily. Anything you'd like to see into some kind of video game?
I would like to see a new Dr. Mario.
All right. That's one they haven't. I'm surprised they haven't
They've
revisited.
updated Tetris so many times, and Mario, and remastered everything, but no love for the Dr. Mario.
My mom was such a ringer with Dr. Mario.
So was my mom. I think. Did your mom jerk the
Insane.
controller around to make the everything move?
I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
That's just gaming 101. Like if
Oh,
you're not my favorite thing, and I do this all the time, even on stream, is like I'm like looking around corners, like I'm moving my head to like look around, like that's gonna help. You know, it's just you do what you do.
You do what you can. I would have to go with, because I don't know why this is still fresh in my brain. Um, but Owl House. I would love to see an Owl House game of some kind.
I need to watch that. I've heard
Oh,
I've heard it's so good, and
oh,
it's
yeah.
so good.
so
Um,
good.
yeah. Um, that or because I've watched with Christy and Kaylee. Owl House or Gravity Falls. I feel like they could make some fun games out of those. Uh,
I think Owl House would be like a neat story game, like where you play, and the more of the story you reveal, like the more glyphs and stuff you get.
yeah.
So
More spells and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Bob
Like
at,
Bob in the chat said a Telltale version for
of
Gravity
Gravity
Falls.
Falls. That'd be really fun.
I really love the it wasn't Telltale, but it actually was a bunch of people who used to work for Telltale. Star Trek Resurgence.
Still
So
need to
much
play it.
fun. So much fun. And the mini games that like get you through things are so, but I mean that's sort of the Telltale game thing. It's like whatever. It's the story that you're there for, not so much the gameplay.
Yeah.
And yeah, Star Trek Resurgence was really good, and they also did but Telltale did do, I think, the Expanse,
They did.
um
Yes.
which that I would say would be another TV show that I would love to see like expanded on in video game world. I don't know or care how, um but could be that's another one that could be pretty cool.
Awesome.
I did love getting to play that as drummer though. That's like the best because
Wish
she's the
fulfillment.
best. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, welcome everybody to our, we're calling it Extra Life Preparedness Table Talk. We are going to be talking about kind of like our experience doing Extra Life game days, our marathons, 24 hours of gaming. However, of course, like every year, it is on daylight savings, so it's 25 hours.
remember long ago when it wasn't that way?
It was maybe my first year. But before, because I forget every single stream to introduce ourselves. Maybe if we want to introduce name, pronoun, and title for the
Excuse me,
guild,
I'm like,
and then throw in like a game you're currently playing and enjoying. I know it's a lot. Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen Uselis. You might know me as the Klingon Pop Warrior. You can find me on Twitch at /Klingon Pop Warrior. She, her pronouns. I sing pop and rock songs translated into the Klingon language, and I play video games on the internet a couple days a week. I've been raising money for Extra Life for 10 years. What am I forgetting? Favorite game that I'm playing right now, Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm doing my first playthrough of the entire Dragon Age trilogy, and I've finally made it to Skyhold. I'm only playing on Saturday mornings, so it's like very slow going, but I also love it because it just like stretches it out, and I get to kind of just like
Absorb
I don't
it.
know.
Just
Yeah.
take it in.
So yeah, that's the a dating sim for what we do in the shadows, please.
New York City!
isn't there already something vaguely like that on Jackbox?
Probably.
It's boyfriend dungeon.
Yeah. Or the KFC one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that game. I played that game. Yep. It was an experience.
Emily?
My name is Emily, she, her. You probably have all seen me lurking around as Hangman's Girl. I think I'm listed as an events chair. I help do the conventions and everything. Um, Convention chair. We changed that.
Yeah.
I've been here a while, 10 years. Um, what else? Current game would be a little to the left in all its variations.
Nice.
Because the only time I'm ever gonna be able to organize my life is in that game.
Nice. I'm Dave. I also go by Aerodash84. I go by he, him pronouns. This is my 14th year doing Extra Life. I always have to like remember it's not like how many years, it's the yeah. It's like the year of doing it versus anniversary, I guess is the difference, you know? Um and I am the events co-chair. I try to help put on these digital events like the stream tonight. And game I'm playing a couple different games. I'd probably have to shout out I'm really liking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Actually enjoying it maybe more than I did the original. That's my hot take. Yeah. So yeah, we're here to talk about Game Day. Game Day is coming up on November 2nd, so this upcoming Saturday. Um, and we'll also talk about a couple things that's going on in the area, but I thought I would ask for everyone to maybe talk about maybe say the first year they did a marathon, as well as uh, maybe some challenges that you came across. I feel like me and Emily may be cheating because we've done most of our years together, but Jenna, if you want
Yeah.
to talk about yours.
My first year was 2015. So I started doing Extra Life. That was I had run my very first 5K ever in 2014 and I didn't hate it. And I trained really hard for it and like as I am not a runner and so like I worked really hard and I also released my very first Pop Warrior EP in 2014 at the end of 2014. And so I was really looking forward to kind of like doing 5Ks for charity in 2015, only to very unceremoniously break my ankle in February of 2015, like in two different places, needed surgery, was laid up for like 13 weeks, non-weight bearing. So running was like completely out of the question that year. And I also then found out I was going to be an aunt for the very first time. And so and then like 3 or 4 other people in my life announced they were having kids. And I had remembered, it was crazy. 2015 was a crazy year. Like everybody was pregnant around me. It was wild. And so I thought, how fun would it be? I remembered seeing the Extra Life booth at a convention and uh, so I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can't run, but I had been playing a lot of video games while I was laid up, and I'm like, I should do Extra Life. So that was how I got involved that first year was, and I set a goal. I just was like, okay, I'll raise like $200, and then I like hit that in almost no time. And so I was very lucky that I sort of had the Pop Warrior thing. It wasn't as popular then as it is now even. So every year's gotten a little bigger and a little crazier. But I basically used it to do crazy stuff on the internet. And yeah, that first year I didn't know what I was doing. I had a lot of help getting my stream set up and trying to figure it out. And I scheduled my games and I talked to friends and got friends to play with me during and like everything was pretty like well scheduled. And that's probably the one thing more than anything that has stuck since I started doing this is like scheduling everything. Like that was the smartest thing that I did for myself that first year, and I've continued to do it every year. Like I have a very regimented schedule, but it actually really helped like keep me motivated to get from like one block to the next block. Um but I remember like almost falling asleep. Like I can picture like nodding off at my desk almost. Like and there's like nobody watching you at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And so that first year it was really tough. But I had a lot of fun, and my first year I ended up raising like $1,000, and I was like, holy crap, I can't believe this. It was nuts. And so yeah, I'm glad I've stuck with it, and I don't know, it's my favorite thing to do now. It's my favorite event every year is my big 24-hour crazy stream. So
Nice. Um, Emily, do you want to go? I feel like maybe I'll give some context of ours.
So, when was your first event?
2011 was the first marathon year we did.
Really?
Yeah. I've been.
Holy.
I said this is my 14th year doing this.
Yeah, but when was the first like big one you did? I
Well,
don't think.
I guess I could give some context because we've been. So we started. I started in 2011, and I think this could also lead into a good way of how to get friends involved, especially into joining Extra Life, as I've roped in quite a few friends. So 2011. I'm like, nah, I'm trying not to get too emotional. Um, okay, so it's like I'm getting a little bit emotional thinking about a couple different things of how I started. Um, so I used to watch a podcast called The Totally Rad Show. Saw they had a video podcast back in the day when you could only watch on iTunes because that's the only way you could watch video podcasts. And the Totally Rad Show, they did a 24-hour marathon. They did it as a montage. I was like, that sounded like fun. Didn't really find time in my schedule to do it because I couldn't figure out how to do it. But this all kind of started after my grandpa passed away. I was just like, I don't know, feeling kind of like I needed something to just kind of lift my spirits up, and signed up. Literally maybe like a month or so before the marathon day, and also into the Y, found out I signed up for Chicago Children's Memorial Hospital. My mom was a patient. I found out when I showed her, like, hey, I did this thing. She's like, oh, I was a patient there for my first like 6 months of after being born. So also like doing this, the things you find out about people like who's impacted by the hospitals you fundraise for, I could keep going. So I was like, okay, that montage looked cool. They had a couple TVs, they had Xboxes, they had all this stuff. So I think I reached out to you, and this will cover a couple of. We'll probably jump around a lot. We're like, let's set up a couple TVs. We had a couple friends with Xboxes. I even set up a little, like, I wish I had the tube TV because I set up a Super Nintendo. So, like, I even had in, like, a dining room, we had, like, the Super Nintendo with Turtles going. And we were like, let's do a potluck. Let's just have a bunch of our friends over. Let's do a potluck. I think, is that what you mean by the big year? Because it all started that first year.
Really? I thought you did 1 year before that.
No. The first, just invited Emily, our friend Sarah, who's also in the guild, and a bunch of our other friends over, and we just, unlike Jen, we didn't have a schedule. I was just like, you know what? Let's just play whatever we felt like playing. And then we did the 24 hours because this was before daylight savings time. So it was 24 hours at that time. And I'll kind of let Emily talk about because she handled a lot of stuff while I kind of handled the gaming. Emily kind of helped with the food, and maybe we'll talk about food recommendations and ideas for marathon. Um, but basically, we just played a bunch of video games. I think at like God bless my parents, they let me do this at their house, but we had like Rock Band from like 10 p.m. to midnight, and then
I
from
think we
like
did blind doubles that year too.
no, that was later. That was
Oh,
after
that
the
must have been the
remodel.
next year.
That was many years
Yeah.
later. Um, but yeah, we did like Rock Band at the middle of the night. I remember we played some board games, probably like either Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity. We played a couple years as just like I found playing board games late at night kind of helped us because it was just like you had to think a little bit more. So it's like you didn't. There was some yelling, there's some laughing. It kind of kept the energy up. And then I do remember nearly falling asleep at like 7 a.m. playing Batman in my little gaming chair that I had from college.
It's brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal especially once you get down to those last couple hours and like you see the end is in sight. You're just like, I'm almost there.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I remember it was just like 7 a.m., sun's coming up, everyone had fallen asleep around me. And then
Sorry, not sorry.
that's fine. I said everyone could sleep. And that's another thing we can talk about as well. And then, yeah, that was kind of our first year. And I think, Emily, as you are uh, the gracious cook, I'd say honorary cook, but I appreciate the times you've volunteered. But if you want to talk about, like, some of the things you did for our potluck, as well as like maybe some recommended foods that you've found kind of worked over the years, like as just snacks, main courses. Chrissy says you're the best with food.
I do my
Um,
best.
Bob, don't worry about falling asleep. We'll cover that at some point. But yeah, if you want to talk about like maybe some of your experience from the cooking and just kind of food over the years of what you found.
So Day has been doing this for 14 years. I'm on my 10th year. So those first few years, I literally like more than minimum wage job, but not enough to really survive. So instead of donating, I would like show up and I would cook, but I would do big batch cooking. So like one year I did Chipotle. Like I didn't order from Chipotle, but like I did dupe recipes. I did like pulled chicken and cilantro lime rice and beans and got a bunch of tortilla chips and everyone could make their own like burrito bowls and stuff. um two ingredient pumpkin muffins are always like great. It's like a spiced box mix and a can of pumpkin. If you get fancy, you can put an egg in it. um but like I always tend to keep the food simpler and in larger batches because one, you can reheat it, and two, the simpler the food is, the easier it is to make. Like crock pot meals, great. Um like just roasted vegetables, like all the veggies you can on a sheet tray, stuff it in the oven. Um Try and keep your diet pretty balanced during the days, because if you're eating sugar upon carb upon soda upon alcohol or whatever, you're gonna tank yourself really quick. Not to say we didn't do that a couple of years, but we've learned that, like, having you start your first day, we normally do a sit down meal that first day, and then like we do snacks throughout the night. Like we've got like what are they called? Peanut butter and jelly things.
Oh,
Oh, and Uncrustables.
Uncrustables, string cheese, protein snacks, like things like that. Trail mix. Chips are good. But again, that's a lot of salt and carb and stuff that might sit heavy on you. But like, but I'm
I
always a fan. Huh?
I I have an annual pizza roll tradition at this
Mm,
point, and now it's 10 years going, so like I just always keep it. But like everything else around the pizza rolls is like, yeah, keeping fruits and
Mhm.
veggies
yeah.
and like, yeah, definitely. You
Yeah.
gotta watch
Chips
out
and
for this.
hummus for me was one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And there's so many, great things you can get now for food that are easy and quick to do, like
Hydration. Water. Water, 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 water.
yeah.
I think that
this is my medium-sized jug, everyone. Just so you know, they get bigger.
that I think that one of the like best things you can do for yourself is start to wean yourself off of caffeine and sugary drinks if you can a
Mhm.
couple weeks before so
Yeah.
that on the day of that my big thing is I do not have any caffeine. I try to hold out on putting any caffeine into my system on my 24 hours, my 24, 25-hour thing until 3 o'clock in the morning. And like I usually start between 8 and 9 a.m. and I go until 8 or 9 a.m. the next day. And that way, like I'm not peaking too soon with my caffeine and my sugar, like powering and I find that chai is like so good because it's got more caffeine than coffee in chai tea, and then I heat it up over the stove, like the milk up, and so it's like comforting while also at like when you're tired and cold, there's like it's kind of comforting, but then like 30 minutes later that caffeine kicks in and you're like, woo, all right.
Yeah.
Second wind is here and ready to go.
I
So
I do remember from my first year because I was still, I think, addicted. I still had a trouble kicking. Gosh, I don't even know if they still do it. The Mountain Dew uh, energy drinks. They had a Code Red version basically. In my first year, I do remember buying like a 4 pack of those, but over the years, I'll still drink pop. I'll do coffee maybe first thing in the morning when I start the marathon because I just needed to wake up. Um, I'll do that. Then I'll sometimes drink coffee throughout the day, but usually it's just coffee in the beginning, and then I alternate between so I call it pop. I don't care. I have friends who
do
give
it.
me a hard
It's
time.
pop.
It's
Welcome to
pop.
Chicago. That's
Get,
what we say. It's pop.
give me my Diet Dr.
You're not
Pepper.
Michigan, you're fine.
Give me my Diet Dr. Pepper directly if you could. But yeah, and then as it's kind of been talked, I don't do alcohol during game days because heavy foods, heavy drinks, I feel just kind of it makes you sleepy. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially alcohol is
Oh yeah.
it's a depressant, and so it definitely will like it'll dehydrate you and and it makes you tired. I had 1 year, I think, where I had a friend over for beer, but it was a special beer that you couldn't get here. Like it was I had there were it was a really cool year. 2018 was a really cool year. I went up to a small town in Canada to perform, and there were 2 breweries in that
ooh.
town, and there was a whole we did like a whole weekend of Klingon stuff, and both of the breweries up there made special edition beers
Oh.
for the Klingon stuff that was happening. And one of them was a beer called Hitchop, which is the Klingon very first song I ever sang in Klingon, like pop song that was translated into Klingon was Hitchop. And so they named a beer after a song I sang. So I made sure that I kept one beer. And then one of my donation incentives, I did a drawing for
Yeah.
somebody for like my friends to like come over during my stream and like have the beer. And we like we each had my last 2 hichopes that were in my fridge. So that's the only time I ever drank on stream, but it was like a very special, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
You
mean,
have to be really careful with booze. Like, I just don't recommend it,
yeah.
really. And
It,
I like to drink, like, but it'll hurt if
yeah.
you're not careful.
Especially,
I like to drink water.
yeah. Yeah. And those, I do. And just another random thing we did, I think last year or the year before, we did the hot apple cider
Oh yeah.
in the crock pot. What?
Mulled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got mulling spices from Penzies. So we just
Oh,
go get a couple quarts of apple cider and throw it in there, and then some of that like what's it called? The
cinnamon
the
clove.
no the caramel
Oh,
syrup.
oh.
Nice. I have a gallon of cider in my fridge. I went apple picking this past weekend,
Well,
so
you know what you
I
can use it for.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
So yeah, that's. I was like, I wanted to touch upon the food and drink because I know like me and Emily, our game days crossover. We've done pretty much all of them together, except for I think 2020 was the one year I went solo from home. Um,
Well,
No, I was there.
I think that was 2021 because I was just recovering, or it was.
No, you got COVID after.
Oh yeah.
one of
Sorry.
one of the really handy things about schedules
Yeah.
and actually scheduling your game and doing that is that you also can schedule in breaks for yourself because it's
Mhm.
so easy to forget to eat. So that's one of
Yeah.
the other things that I make sure that I do. And I only do half hour, like I do half hour ones, but I do a half hour break for lunch, a half hour break for dinner, and then I do a half hour break at midnight. And like that way I'm stepping away from the computer for a little bit. I'll go to the bathroom if I have to get up and go to the bathroom, I'll do it. But like it's like that time to make sure that I am eating and I'm taking the time to eat an actual meal.
And I think that's one of the things where Dave and I luck out because our schedule, we're a little old and we can't do 24 hours anymore. So we've taken the past few years and
Young
broken it
whippers.
up.
You're young whippersnappers.
I just turned
Oh,
40 and my body's betraying me.
Oh.
my body betrayed me long ago.
But
I
yeah.
fell down the stairs 4 months ago and my tailbone is still bruised. I'm broken. Leave me alone. But so what we do though is because like there's so many people
Oh,
that like we'd like to get involved, we schedule people for different days. So like one day is these 5 people, they come for a couple hours from like noon and then they have dinner with us and then they all trickle out, and then like the next day is like family day and we have all of them come in, and like we have either leftovers or we order pizza or something. um um and then we cycle it that way. So that's where we keep our schedule, is like we eat regularly. So like we probably take an hour for dinner just because it's like usually 7 or 8 of us eating dinner. And then like lunch, we'll probably like munch on sandwiches on screen
yeah.
as we go. Breakfast is whatever.
Yeah.
um it's a little more nebulous.
Some people are breakfast people and some people aren't.
I'm definitely a breakfast person, but it's like not everyone will eat the same thing as I will at breakfast. So like I'm like, give me a sausage McMuffin, a hash brown, and a large unsweetened tea, and I'm good for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
I just want to interject about eating. Something I discovered when we did 2 years. We went to our friend's workplace. They set up a LAN area for us in their
Nice.
office building, And the thing I notice most about it is that when you're staying up for 24 hours, say you have breakfast like at the start of your day, then you have lunch, then you have dinner. You we didn't necessarily always think about eating because we're staying up for another 12 hours.
Yeah, you've got that 12 hours between, 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. where is not a normal eating time. So if you are doing 24 hours, schedule yourself a meal around midnight or 2 a.m. It doesn't have to be big. Get yourself some Uncrustables or string cheese and crackers. Get yourself a little protein, carb, trail mix. Trail mix is a really good one that people discount.
Yeah.
And you can build your own trail mix, like especially like getting some dried fruit in there for some good sugar. The nuts, if you are not allergic, will give you some good protein boost and keep you full. Um, and like you can even sneak chocolate in there if you want, and that'll just, that'll satisfy your soul.
Yeah, while we were talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I just remembered another anecdote of we've done so many of these in different kinds of situations. We've done some like sitting at computers, we've done some at our couch. You know, I guess what is something you would recommend for someone? What I guess my thought is like I don't want. I just realized the time for one. um, what is something you'd like to let people know about? Either challenges you may have encountered the first year, or some advice. I think we kind of talked about staying up, but what is something that you think could help if like you found like almost like an emergency, like rip a cord, like I need energy for that stretch. You know what I mean?
So I had a year where I thought it'd be really cool to do a hot sauce
I
challenge.
remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
And the video of it is up on my YouTube channel, and it was very funny. Like the playback like watching it in hindsight was really funny. But I was in a lot of pain and it sucked. But what sucked even more was at midnight or like quarter to midnight, about 5 hours later, when those sauces started to work their way through my system, and suddenly for the first time I almost had to tap out of my 24-hour live stream. So I think that's like one of my biggest like cautionary tales is like again, it is around food, but it's also like it's a mindful thing about being mindful about what your body can take. And if you are too tired, if you have to tap out, if you're, like if you're up against a wall, your health is more important than your 24-hour live stream. And,
Oh no.
and like so that's the yeah.
Sorry we lost you for a moment there, but I think you're back in.
Okay.
Um, anything for you, Emily? Like,
I would agree. Like, don't push yourself beyond what you can handle, what your body can handle. Like, I'm not built for 24 hours anymore, and I just can't. I can sit there for 12 hours, and I can't even sit there for 12 hours. I'm a very fidgety person. If anyone's been around me, I apologize, but like I have to get up, I have to move, I have to readjust myself. And that's one thing. If you're looking for a burst of energy, get up out of your seat. Move, do a jumping jack or 12, one year we had an infamous year where we all put onesies on and we went for a 40-minute walk at like 1 a.m.
oh, it was like five. This
I don't
was.
even remember. It was a haze uh of Pokemon Go in
Yeah,
onesies in Chicago,
yeah.
on the south side of Chicago.
Well, and if you're a Twitch affiliate, you can, or even if you're not, you can use your channel points to put in little things that like that people who've been watching you, they get the points. You can
Hmm.
use those channel points to do redemptions like do 20 jumping jacks,
Yeah.
do like, stuff like that where they don't, if people can't always donate more money, you could also do it for donations where, people donate $1 or $5 to like make you get up and do move around or whatever, but the channel points help keep you going as well, so
Hydration reminders, movement
I
reminders.
yeah,
Um,
save checks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I I was gonna
Don't forget your save checks, y'all. Jeez.
part of what spurred the asking about that was thinking about the onesie, and you're right. If I like to let people know, I think it was maybe a couple years ago. It was like 3 a.m. and I think this will lead to the next thing I want to ask about. It was about 3 a.m. and I didn't realize I was not hearing notifications. Like I came back from like a late break. I think my mic was muted. My wasn't hearing notifications. I was nodding off. It was just like I think we tapped out at like 3 a.m. We were like maybe 14 hours in, and it was just like I think we need to call it. Like I'm missing donations, and it just was like I don't even know if this is really fun to watch anymore. So it's like if you feel yourself getting that exhausted, it is okay to take a nap. If you're with a group, I remember one year though letting someone play and I nodded off for like 30 minutes.
That was Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. So I felt better.
It was like 2 hours.
Yeah, but it's like
Also,
oh,
I think that's a good reminder for the kinds of games that you schedule yourself to play in those late hours too. Like, don't schedule a slog of a game where
yeah,
all you're doing is running around and, like unless, you know, I don't know, harvesting materials is your absolute jam. To me, that's boring as all get out. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I want to be playing something that's keeping me really engaged
Yeah.
yeah.
mentally. I like doing otome games. They're really silly. They're basically the Japanese dating sims.
Oh,
But like I read the whole thing and I create voices for all of the characters and I get angry at the choices that I'm left to make and like or given to make and like so yeah, those are stuff like that. It's
You did I
very
Heart Colonel Sanders one year, didn't you?
I did do the I Heart Colonel Sanders KFC game one year. It was hilarious. And I finished it too. So yeah, stuff like that. Boyfriend Dungeon, absolutely hilarious. But also has like a platformer component to
yeah.
it as well. So
Uh,
like yeah.
so over the years, I feel and I feel like I learn from previous years. Usually, I learn something. Uh, Usually because something comes up, I'm like, well, if it comes up again, I know how to solve it. I'm gonna kind of start from my example of before, and this is kind of more like, what do you do to prepare for game day? So, like, one thing I've found for myself is because the way we do our potluck usually is like in a living room. I have a webcam set up like on the TV or on a tripod. I move my computer. I found I have a laptop that can handle a stream. But the day before, I always do kind of like a test run. Um, because I always find like something's not like settings aren't right when I unplug and plug everything in. Um, I test to make sure like I'll even do like a short stream if I have to like just to make sure like okay volumes are fine, my placements so I always recommend like before your game day just make sure your stuff is working if you're gonna stream. I also like to let people know if you don't stream, that's okay. The thing I regret most is like for many years I didn't stream for 5 years of doing this. I didn't take like pictures. There might be some, but it's like I regret not having that, you know? Um
Yeah. The thing that I like is like I look at it as like a game of the dance-a-thon or something like that where there is that like people are donating and my way of honoring your donation is in doing my 24-hour live stream. So documenting that in some way, documenting what I'm doing, you don't have to stream, but make sure, post pictures to Facebook every once in a while or Instagram, even if it's just a snapshot of what you're playing in that moment and at your screen. If you're doing little challenges like you're gonna game in a Rainbow Bright costume or you're gonna, you know I do things where I translate pop songs that are people get to choose ahead of the stream. And like I'll do a concert on the stream, like making sure people know when to tune in or just like what you're up to in however you're going to do that. You can post the video later if you're going to do the concert or, but just making sure you're honoring people's donations.
anything that you found that you just kind of do for preparedness, Emily?
Make sure all my games and laptops are updated.
Yeah. So much.
Anything's downloaded that I need downloaded. There are so many times when like I feel so bad for people. They're like, I'm gonna go play this game. They boot up their PlayStation, their anything, and it's just like I've got a 2-hour wait for this game to download. Take the time before the week before the couple days before, and just if you know what you're gonna play, make sure that it's updated. Make sure Windows is updated. Windows is mean
Yeah.
and will not care what you are doing.
Yeah.
It will just
I mean, really, that's just like one more thing that's just like to advocate for having a schedule
Yeah.
and like knowing what you're gonna do going into
oh yeah.
game day.
Yeah.
I can't I've had issues with OBS. I there was because for the
Yeah.
first 6 years of streaming, my first six streams, like from 2015 through 2020, I only streamed once a year. So I
Yeah.
always had to like go in, make sure that if I'd updated my computer or wiped out my hard drive or whatever, like going back in and making sure everything is installed correctly and is functioning. Um, I had one year where OBS kept crashing on me, and every time it crashed, it was erasing half of my settings.
Mm.
Like it was crazy. So I had to keep going back in and redoing stuff. That was a nightmare year. We had one year, I mean, sometimes freak stuff just happens. We
Mm-hmm.
had one year where the internet, like the port in my wall, I think this was just like a couple years ago, literally the Ethernet connection in my wall crapped out.
Oh.
And Devin is like running, rewiring, the, basically rewiring the house from the basement up to the
Oh my
second
gosh.
floor, like, like on the fly kind of thing. And so I had to switch to Wi-Fi and do all that. And because that ended up like it was an hour, like I was down for almost an hour, I extended my live stream an extra hour to compensate for the fact that I was down. So yeah, that's stuff happens and not panicking, uh getting your mindfulness meditation and like centering yourself, lining up those chakras, do what you got to do, get your crystals out and like ohm away, whatever it is to like not panic, and set your space and and just you will, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're not getting paid. you
You're
know
raising money for a good
and
cause, you
it's
know?
supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That oh my
If it's
gosh.
not fun,
Them
please stop, take a nap, and come back later.
yeah.
If you're not having fun anymore, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I feel like y'all covered up covered some of the things I was just thinking of as like the OBS thing. I remember so many times of that update. Like I literally the day before I will update all my games because on PC there are updates every day. It feels like on some games. Um, and Jen, yeah, I think you knocked it out with just things happen. Just remember, make it fun, have fun, just do what you need to. Like, don't panic. It's. I feel like some people feel like it needs to be super professional. It doesn't have to be. Like, if you're gonna stream, that's awesome. But if you can't stream, like, take some of the things we've said and take that into consideration. Um, will I be?
And I do say that as somebody who, has like anxiety and, and those before I was in therapy, like calming myself down and like being super type A about everything. That's like my MO. Um so
Let's also be fair. One of the years we were in Kansas City, my setup wasn't working right, and like I couldn't get on the internet that they had,
Oh
like
yeah.
hardline or Wi-Fi for some reason. So I put my phone on a tripod
Mm-hmm.
and just broadcast myself at my computer from my phone through the Twitch app. So like there are little ways, like if you are
Oh.
having super difficulties, like there are little ways you can participate still and throw yourself up on the internet if you want to. You don't have to. As a notorious non-streamer, um, I am a very good backseat gamer when it comes to video games and streaming. But like, I'll go into people's streams and I'll just hang out, mod, make sure nothing's going completely sideways. If you're going to stream and you're going to have people in and out, see if you can schedule some people to come in and mod for you.
Yeah.
Cause we don't need people being jerks. This
No.
is for the kids.
Yeah.
I didn't say that phrase. This is this is for Lurie's Children's Hospital. And all the children in the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico.
Which.
But like, have some people who you can surround yourself with who can, you know, keep things on track if need be, and boot people if you need to.
I remembered what I was gonna say based off of Jen's comments about it. I also started streaming once a year, only during game day. If you are a streamer like that, one bit of advice: updating your URL for your Extra Life fundraising page. I don't know how many times and I can't recall specific people, and I'd never call them out. I know I've done it where I forgot to update it, and when they try to donate, it goes to an inactive page. So
Error
if
404 not found.
so that I like when you mentioned that, I was like, ooh, you know what? My bit of advice is that like update your links and all that. Um,
I
oh,
for people who are interested in streaming as well, I know Dave's using it right now because I'm seeing it in the chat. Stream Elements, there's like the two big ones are Stream Elements and Streamlabs. Both of them are basically shells for they're both basically shells for OBS. So OBS is still like the underpinning, and Streamlabs and Stream Elements give you all of the fancy like help you like do fancy things like alerts and stuff like that. um I personally had Streamlabs is notorious for being kind of a resource hog, so if you're running on a slightly older machine, I highly recommend making the switch to Stream Elements.
they may have changed that.
Oh really?
I think they no longer have their own app, or I'm not
Oh,
100% sure, but don't quote me on it. But I did hear they may have changed how OBS or Streamlabs works.
Streamlabs. Yeah.
Um,
but whenever I hear about people having problems with like slow, like choppy streams and stuff like that, it's Streamlabs, man. It's for some reason it just uses a lot of resources.
It's super funny because I've used the Streamlabs app on my phone to broadcast from conventions, and it was always fairly decent for me. So, but that's on my phone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phone app versus I think it's because it like you can't force it to use what like to bounce between like your GPU and your CPU. And so like
Yeah.
it just yeah, that was I ran into it. Ran into issues.
That's
And if you can be hardwired over Wi-Fi, you're just gonna have a
yeah.
more stable connection. Um, if you can do it.
Stability this day and age.
Stability and higher speeds. Like you'll 100% get like better connection.
Yeah, don't
Um
if you don't have fancy, fancy home internet, like make sure that nobody else is hogging your internet with streaming movies and stuff that day.
Also background
Get off my
downloads.
hand with you, whippersnapper.
I
It's it's
I
like I'm in my head, I'm thinking about the AOL sound right now. Just like, put the
I
phone down, mom. I'm on the computer. Those
um
are the days.
I do I know it's kind of coming up. I was thinking we could do this for an hour. I do want to ask one, if anyone in chat does have questions, please let us know. Bob, I might be available Friday. We'll see. Message me and we'll
Just
talk
kidding.
more. Yeah.
Also, speaking in Discord, there's 9 million people who know things. We will all jump in and try and help.
Yeah.
I am not the best at technical, but I am very good at Google.
Yeah.
Very good at Google.
But I do, well, hopefully maybe someone throws a question in. Bob has a question.
Answer.
Because I do know how I want to end our stream for the
Question.
night.
Tell me what you think about me.
I understand that reference. I also have not heard that one in a while. Oh my gosh.
Moral support.
Oh my gosh. That's another bit of advice, and I'll ask that, but like I recommend doing a marathon with friends, in person or online. It just helps so much. Helps so much. What's your take on prize wheels during game? I'm for. I'm for it. Actually, I can give an example of what we did a couple of years ago. Plus, our friend Mel does a prize wheel. Or they don't do a prize wheel. They do a donation incentive wheel. If you have enough prizes to give away, I mean, perfectly great. It could be digital or physical. Um, and maybe Jen can talk about her experience, but I remember, and Emily probably remembers the year I did the D20.
The year of zombie Skittles.
Oh god, that's also another like up there with the hot sauce.
Did Dave like have a PTSD moment?
It ugh, I can taste it. So for an example of like a donation incentives during a game day, I came up with a list of basically 20. I did like 1 through 20 donation ideas. So like some of them was like, I think a natural one I had to play was, I think it was blind. I had to play blindfolded, and a 2 I had to play with oven mitts, and 2 back to backs I got a 2 and a 1. So I had to play blindfolded with oven mitts, and I think Emily, you were there for that. And someone had to basically direct me while I was playing. So I was just like playing God of War with like, I think I used a tie from my dresser just around my eyes.
I'm gonna be doing so. I have my stream day. I'm not doing until December 7th, but I will be at the in-person event at Miskatonic on Saturday the 2nd. So I wanted to come up with some fun things to do that day while I'm playing board games. So one of the things that I'm doing is tiny hands for 15 minutes. So like a $5, and so I'm doing a picker wheel or like a spin wheel where you'll get to spin the wheel for like a $5 donation. And I have like tiny hands for 15 minutes, doing a habanero jelly bean, I'll game in Klingon Ridges for 15 minutes. I'll do a barrel room run because we're in the barrel room at Miskatonic. I'll put on my Klingon Ridges and I'm bringing my toy. I've got a toy Vorcha battle cruiser that makes like pew pew sounds. And I'm gonna run like if I hit that one, I'll put my ridges on and I'll run around the room like
Pew
just
pew.
do a lap around the room.
Yeah.
I will donate. One of the other things on there is that I will do a $5 donation to Extra Life, like so people can like that's one of the potential things that I'll spin. I also have a negative game effect on there. Either like I'll have to re-roll or redo a move. I also have that someone else at the table plays my next move. So
Ooh.
like they could basically completely screw me over. And I'm also going to get miracle berries, and because miracle berries and beer can be a very interesting situation. So
Yeah.
that's
We're for the wheel. I
Yeah.
would call it a
Yeah.
wheel of possibilities. Include everything from like, you donating $5 to you doing, 10 jumping jacks, or, whatever, include whatever you want on it, but like it's a $5 donation to spin, it's a $10 donation to spin. You can do whatever you want to do, but it's a wheel of possibility.
Yeah. If you have enough donations or items you can do as giveaways, that's also a
Add
good
a
idea.
giveaway on there, yeah.
Or you could also, I've done like if hitting certain, like for once we hit like 20, 40, 60, whatever, like hit those marks. It's like I have a bunch of Humble Bundle keys. I'm like, all right, we'll give away a game. So yeah, I think we're totally for it. You can do prize wheel, a D20, um, prizes or incentives, or you can just have like donation amounts. If you use the donor drive site at extra-life.org, you can sign up. You can set up like I also have. I just found out about this in July, but Dixper. It's kind of like
oh yeah.
Tiltify, but it has integration with Extra Life. So I now have donation points where you could donate $5 and like Tetris blocks start filling my screen. So
Oh, that's yeah. I signed up for that at one point and didn't end up doing much with it. But yeah, that's
Have a good night, Bob.
I should look into that. Good night, Bob.
And then another thing, I kind of going back to something you mentioned earlier in the stream, Jen. I have my channel points now. I've set something up, kind of like what you mentioned on the prize wheel, but for people who hang out in my streams and can't maybe donate financially, I think I have it set to 20,000 points. They can redeem them for. I will donate $5 in your name to. It is to my page, to be fair, but
Right.
but for you supporting me, I will donate in your name to Extra Life. So that's another way. If you do stream and you want to, if you have people who support you but can't financially donate, but you can throw a couple bucks in their name. I think that's another way of giving back while also like showing appreciation for those who support you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can always put a cap on things too. You can,
Yeah.
tick mark it. You can be like, look, I have a cap at $100 matching or whatever. And then once that's, once you've reached that max or whatever it is, you cross it out and you add something new in, or
Yeah.
That's also something that we might want to that I'm gonna touch on, because as a serial lurker and someone who likes to go into people's streams and support, set aside some money for game day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you can go on, so you can drop $10 on your friend to trigger something for them if you want to. Like, I always set aside like $100, and like I'll go drop 10 here, 20 here, things like that. Any incentives, sometimes I do it for incentives. Most of the time it's just like, you're doing the Extra Life thing, here's your $10.
Yeah.
And like on my page, I think the only incentive I have up right now are stickers and drink koozies.
Right.
you can always get creative with your incentives too. One year I did a virtual bake sale. So
Yeah.
you for every, I think it was every $10 you donated, you got a dozen cookies. Out of like 4 different flavors, and you could pick, and I just mailed them to you. I think that was 2021.
Something like that. I think you might be right. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Um,
Woods.
And like and I do pudding cookies, so it's all the same base cookie, just different flavors of pudding. So there was like pumpkin and white chocolate, lemon almond white chocolate. Yeah. There was I think I did a cheesecake toffee one. Uh Jen's like, crap, I missed the good year. Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe next year. This year I'm not prepared for it, but maybe next year. But like I can like spend a month making and freezing cookie dough and then just bake them off and send them out.
yeah,
So
I want cookies too.
yeah.
And I think that's the other thing is like fundraising ideas. You know, get creative, come up with incentive D20s, wheels.
What do
Um,
you like to do?
yeah,
Do it.
yeah. I remember one of my things on my D20 was like, uh, I rolled it once. It was like I'm a terrible artist. Like I can't draw. I was just like, I'll do a stick figure. So I drew banana milk for our one friend, which was
I did
literally
send that to him.
yeah. Um, but
That was the year I did hoodies.
yeah. I think we'll probably wrap it up, and I want to just kind of ask everyone like what is something you enjoy or look forward to with game day?
The people.
Yeah.
I just love seeing everyone do everything. That's why, like, I think I'm a serial lurker when it comes to game day weekend. I just want to see the shenanigans. Like, everyone's got something creative going on. Like, Tay and Wretch, like a month ago, they did an extra live stream and they were doing Sea of Thieves. Donate $20 and they drop all their loot.
She also did a paint stream too.
Yeah, she
Uh,
did. So I made them drop their loot. Uh, but just like
Jen's
the
concerts.
interactions.
Yeah,
Agreed, Elia.
yeah,
It's yeah, I look forward to Extra Life Day every year because it's like it's 24 hours. It's absolutely crazy. I never know exactly how it's going to go even when I have it even when it's meticulously planned. There's always something that's going to go a little sideways. Um but it just it's such a warm feeling. I don't know how doing doing this it really has given me it I feel like I almost get more out of it, than and I know that it's not true that what I've done, and what I've managed to accomplish is awesome. Um, but it just makes me feel so good to give back to my community. It's what started as a funny way to honor the sleepless nights of my impending the birth of that was good that we're gonna go to my brother and sister-in-law, when at the birth of my niece and my friends kids. It was like, well, I can stay up for 24 hours, like that's no big deal as somebody without kids. But children, not to be all like Whitney Houston, I believe the children are our future kind of thing about it, but being able to do something that positively affects the next generations and generations to come. um I just have such a warm fuzzy feeling, and I'm always amazed at what my community helps me accomplish every year. Their generosity and kindness um inspires me and pushes me every year to do better and be a better human being. So
that's great. I kind of have it on two. I feel like you both kind of hit different points of like why. So part of it for me is like as a participant, as I talked about it as a potluck, I kind of use it as an excuse to have my friends over, like friends and family. We played games last year. We did a ton of like Jackbox, Ninja Turtles with four controllers on a couch together. Like it's been a great way for me to get together with friends in person and actually game like I used to as a kid. Like that's what it really throws me back to. Um, I look forward to it every year. And then, and as kind of what Emily said about being a lurker, for many years, I always had to work during game day weekend. So I worked overnight shifts too. So there were years I would be working and watching. So I think one of my favorite things to do would be watching people late at night and talking with them in chat because just as like a heads up too is like um your chat may be quiet but you don't know who could be watching. I've used this example many times, but I remember when I was early on streaming at like zero viewer count and I was getting ready to wrap up and I got a $500 donation, anonymous donation. I had like zero viewers that I could tell. No one was talking in chat. Like I had to step away. I played a little extra life video, took a break because I was getting very emotional, and I was like, I can't believe I came back and was like, thank you so much. I was getting emotional. I was like, if you guys did it again, I don't know if I could handle it. $250 immediately after again. I was just like, I just broke down. So um, you never know who's watching. If you are watching and you can chat, I recommend because it really I think helps those who are just starting out. Just like
The
let them know, say hi, ask them what they're doing because it also helps keep that energy up. So
those the 3 a.m. ride or dies in
yeah,
chat for whether they're on the other side of the planet or are there with you in your time zone or at least in your hemisphere. And um truly are the unsung heroes. Yeah,
yeah,
Elia has been one of my stalwart 3 a.m.ers, and there is nothing that helps get me through those hours more than just knowing that there's one person,
yeah,
and even just one person out there is so helpful to the experience.
And
yeah,
because there's always going to be that one weirdo who will go to a category on Twitch and scroll to the person who has the least viewers and go and watch for hours for no reason other than I like the game and you seem chill.
yeah.
So I mean half the time like 3 a.m. I see that it's just like people on the other side of the world, they're like, what's this? This is my category of game and they look fun, you know.
Yeah. Also, if you can remember, update your category or game on Twitch when
Oh
you
yeah.
change them because I've don't know how many times I forget, or put it to like special event and have a description, things like that. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? I feel like we've covered so much. Food is, I think, a big focus for. We love
But it's
food.
important.
It really is.
I
Yeah.
love food, but also it speaks to the self-care of the event, making
Yeah.
sure you get a good night's sleep the night
Ooh.
before, making sure, take Monday off of work.
That's what
Like,
If you need to.
I learned that from
don't
you, Jen.
like to do your best to take care of yourself. Because if you're not, it's gonna show on your stream and you're gonna struggle. Even if it doesn't show, you're gonna struggle, and it's not as fun if you're falling asleep and hurting.
It's gonna burn you out too, and it's gonna make you get sick. And that's one of the main reasons Dave and I do 2 12-hour days is that like I I physically can't do it anymore. Like I could probably make it till 1 a.m. and then I'd be like, We are 4 hours past my normal bedtime and 4 hours before I normally wake up in the morning. I am done. But like the 24 hours is the commitment that we make, and most people do it all in one run. I do want to stress though, your health is important. Do it
Yeah.
how you can do it. There is no hard fast rule of 24 hours in a row. Do it how you can, that's safe and healthy for you and your friends, and mainly you. We want you to be here. We don't want you falling asleep on stream or burning yourself out to the point where it's dangerous for you. We would rather you do 4 6 hour streams than one 24-hour stream if that's what you can handle. Just definitely take care of yourself so you can help take care of the kids.
I'm also trying to put like links to us. I feel like this is a pretty good point to, I think, end our stream. If you want to let people know about your game day plans or when you're planning to do your streams, because if I remember correctly, we are actually not doing it on game day weekend. Jen?
Yeah, so you can find me at twitch.tv/Klingon Pop Warrior. You can find me in Extra Life if you look for the Klingon Pop Warrior, if you search for Klingon Pop Warrior in Extra Life to find my game page. I am going to be streaming on my 24-hour stream will be on December 7th. So, but I am going to be doing an in-person event on the 2nd. So I'll be hanging out at Miskatonic. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming it. I don't think I am. I think I'm just going to be chilling with friends, playing board games, and drinking beers for 11 hours or 12 hours or whatever that event is. Probably not drinking that many beers because I have to drive. But
Being an
yeah,
adult.
I know being an adult, it's brutal. So yeah, and I have a lot of challenges and milestones that I strive for this year. If I hit my goal, I will be dyeing my hair blue. I am less than 1,700 away from that, I think, right now.
Nice.
And if I hit 5,000, I will get for my 10th anniversary, I'll be getting an Extra Life tattoo. So I will be
Mine will
joining
show
the
up.
ranks of I'll be joining the ranks of Dave and getting myself an I don't know if mine will be quite that fancy.
Or
Yours is
huge.
beautiful. But yeah, I will be that's the goal this year. I really want the blue hair. My stylist is really excited about the blue hair. This is not going to be manic panic. I'm gonna be forking over a lot of money to my stylist to make this happen.
Nice.
I haven't dyed my hair in 4 years. I have embraced my sparkles. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think tentatively right now we're planning for Friendsgiving weekend, Thanksgiving weekend is the plan. You can follow. I'm putting our Twitch channels in the thing, the chat.
Don't forget to do yourself, Dave.
I'm getting there. I just completely blanked because I forget what weekend. It's like the 20. No, it's the 30th of November. Is the
no? It's the weekend before that.
No. Thanksgiving's the 28th.
Dang, man.
Yeah. So tentatively November 30th, December 1st. Anything else we need to shout out? I guess we got a couple of things coming up.
So this weekend, I will unfortunately not be attending the Miskatonic because I will be the opposite direction at LodgeCon with our fellow Sarah.
Yeah.
Yay. LodgeCon is so fun.
There. So if anyone's in the south suburbs, check out LodgeCon. There's a great little vendor hall, games going on. Yeah, it's a good time.
So probably be
little
there.
local con.
Yeah.
I feel like there are things that I should be reminding. Save the date. March 8th, 2025 will be ELCGC, our next gaming con. So tickets will be going on sale for that. It's going to be at the Sheraton Lisle, Naperville hotel, March 8th, 2025, 11 to 7. So make sure you get that on your calendars. Don't forget to fill out, you know what, I'm going to throw this link in the chat. This is the link
Oh.
for the Extra Life Chicago 2024 incentives.
Hold on, let me make you a mod.
Oh, did it not go?
No.
Not go through. Extra Life Chicago 2024 incentives are live as well, so you sign up for your incentive kits. Don't forget to do that, and don't forget to get yourself some coffee.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, let's see if
From
that'll
B-Res.
from
Yeah.
there it is. Let me pull up that link too, because I've got all the links.
Yay.
I've got all the links.
Yeah, I ordered the.
Cubby was in earlier, also, by the way. Cubby Blue is our boy from B-Res Coffee.
I ordered the Chicago blend, and then I ordered pumpkin pie. So yeah, I love thing most I love about fall. It's like, give me all the pumpkin pie.
Yeah. So game day weekend, they will be upping their donation amount.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be posting that to social media. Probably starting because they're starting it at 12 a.m. on Fridays. So I will probably post that on Friday morning. Yeah.
Get yourself some coffee.
Get yourself
And
some coffee.
and that portion of those sales go to.
If you don't drink coffee, buy it for your family and friends.
Yes. Yes. Great Christmas gifts, you know. Let's see. I think we have some other stuff. December we have a game in hospital game event. So if you are if you're in the Chicago area and interested in joining, if you're not quite sure about like fundraising, I know it's late in the year, but join us. I think I need to create a Discord link, but join, sign up for Extra Life, and when you select Ann and Robert Lurie Children's Hospital, you will get our communication, so you'll be kept up on events we have going on, things like that. So I know it's late in the year, but if you get in that, you can get involved with the guild. We have volunteer opportunities. We have a bunch of cons coming up, even early next year. So yeah, we have a lot going on. We have some more special streams coming up. I think that's everything. So just want to thank Emily, Jen. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
I'm so glad I was finally able to do something.
Yeah.
Yay!
And I didn't swear.
Yay!
I don't think I swore once. I can control myself.
Yay!
I'm so fluffin' proud of you.
Thanks.
But I sign off a lot of my streams this way, and I'll sign off tonight. Think about what you put in the world. Make it a better place. Everyone, have a good night. Bye. Bye-bye. We'll miss you.